Hello everybody, it's Man Customs back for another video. Now, I'm aware that in my last video I sounded like a robot. I'll try not to in this video, sorry if I do. I might sound like a robot at the moment, I don't know. But, this is part 2 of making your own custom Lego minifigure, and let's get into it. So in this part, I'm going to be making the head, so basically painting the face of the minifigure. And I won't be doing any of like the hair or moulding or anything. That'll be next video or the video after, I don't know, it will be somewhere along the line. But just for this video I'm going to be painting the face because it's one of the most important parts of your minifigure to make it look like the character that you're trying to paint. So I'd recommend having some sort of setup for painting a minifigure head. So for example, this is just a normal head from Harry Potter or Fantastic Beasts, I don't know which one. But I'm just going to be forgetting that bit of the face and just using the other side. And I'm going to be also putting this cowboy hat on him, so that will obviously cover up a bit of the back, but then I'll also be doing hair around the back as well, so his face will be completely gone. Sorry to any Harry Potter or Fantastic Beasts fans, don't know what this guy's from. If I'm one of them, sorry if you like that, but that's the figure I'm going to be using for this. So I recommend having like something like this piece here that you can just put your minifigure on. I also find it quite useful to make sure that you're doing the complete opposite side to the head. So if you like line the head up straight with, like line the face up straight with one of these little bits going down and then turn it around, then you know, this bit, hang on, this bit is exactly the other side, so that's just a guide that you'd like to use. I also use this, which is basically just parts from the DC minifigure packets, and it's basically the little pieces that are used on that, and they kind of support a piece with a hole in it, and that piece with the hole in it can easily slot this into it. And I'll just do that while the character's head is drying. It normally doesn't take too long to dry, sorry if there's a bit of light flicker there. It normally doesn't take too long to dry, but sometimes it does depending on what kind of paint you're using. I normally use acrylic, Umbro, matte paint. This is black because obviously the eyes on the face are black, a lot of it is black, like the mouth and everything. But you can also use apple barrel paints. I would use those, but they're just very hard to get hold of in the UK because a lot of people that I asked are just like, "I'll get them at Target." We don't have Target in the UK, big surprise. So I never know where to get apple barrel paint from. I got this from the Hornby store in Swindon. So go to that shop if you want to get these. They're only like £6 for a whole set. Really good price. I don't even know if they're still there anymore, but if they are, then I definitely recommend them. So when making your minifigure head, to paint the fine detail, I would either recommend having a pin like this that's also got a rounded end, so you can kind of like smooth off or press down paint after it's dried, just like to make sure it's more flat against the actual minifigure. Or if you don't have a pin or don't want to use a pin for whatever reason, a paper clip should work fine as well. I don't normally use a paper clip. If it's a bit too thick on the end, you can probably sand it with whatever you sanded your minifigure with. In the last video, that video will be linked right here at some point. So go check that out. That's part 1. This is part 2. So let's get into painting the face. When painting the face, I would recommend. Sorry, that isn't focusing. Let's try and get that to focus. Not better. Right. Somewhere around there. Boom. You just want to get whatever you're painting with. So for this video, I'm going to be using a pin. That's just what I'm used to. So get a tiny bit there. And sometimes it can, when you can see the point on the end, if I you, I'll just wipe that off. It doesn't really matter what you wipe it onto. So obviously it's only paint, it won't be permanent. just get a tiny bit, and if it isn't working, then I would recommend using something with more of a flat end, such as a paper clip. So yeah, that'll be fine, just like that. And you can always just like get little bits more as you're painting your minifigure. So let's get on to painting the eyes. Now the eyes are by far the most important part of the whole minifigure, because they eyes on people and minifigures capture who they are, like their facial looks, whatever they look like. That's normally mainly in the eyes. So on Lego minifigures, obviously they don't have coloured eyes apart from the occasional like zombie, or I think some of the figures in Lord of the Rings, some of the orcs have other coloured eyes, but they're usually black on Lego minifigures, which is what I'm going to be doing in this tutorial. So I'm trying to find a good way to position this. Right, is that good? Hang on. Let me try and focus a bit better. I think that's... Hang on. Right. I think that's good. So... Sorry if there's like any background noises, by the way. It's quite noisy where I live. So you just want to get a little bit of paint and just dab it right on where you want the first eye to be. It's normally quite central in the face, and if you do ever get it wrong, you can just get your pin or whatever you're using and just scrape it off a little bit and start again. I'm basically just going to be doing this as it happens, so if you want to skip to a further point in the video, then feel free, but I will recommend staying for the more fine detail. I'll definitely recommend using a pin, because it's just a lot more precise. And sometimes if you want, you can, which I'm probably going to do here, get an even smaller pin, because they are different sizes, and use the flat end like this bit, and then kind of like get paint just on the end of it. So let me see if I can do that. Sorry if my hand's ever taking up a lot of the shot. So you just want to dab that on, and then any like little bits you're not proud of, you can just scratch them away, but only carefully, because you don't want to leave marks on your minifigure. So then after you've done that eye, you do the other one pretty centrally, like so, and then you can spread it out a little bit more, and you can keep adding and taking away until you get to what you want. I have a few different sizes of pin that normally helps me get just what I want, but you basically want a fairly rounded shape, and you can change that later on if whoever you're painting is a bit different. I'm not that proud of that, and I will change it. I think that the one on this side just a bit too high up, so I'm going to wait for that to dry a little bit, and then I will scratch away little bits of paint with a small pin. Go wait for it to dry a little bit more in the middle. By the way, a minifigure that I would recommend using for your custom minifigure is King Tut from the Lego Batman minifigure series, just because he's probably the cheapest minifigure that you can get on Britlink, at least in England, and he's got a lot of the nugget colour on him, and he's also obviously the cheapest, and I'm pretty sure that just getting him and then using the back of his head would be cheaper than getting a plain head, so it's definitely worth checking that out. I'll see if I can link it in the description below, because I'm just that nice. Yeah, so when that's more dry, I'll scratch away a little bit of the top on this one. It's a little bit around there. Obviously it is just a Lego minifigure. I would be a lot more precise with this if I was making it for someone, like I did with Ash Williams. But and you can check that out on my Instagram if you want. It'll be linked in the description as always. But just for this tutorial's sake, and I don't want to make it a really long video, I'm just going to be doing this fairly simplified, but still not like really basic. You never want to scratch away the paint as well, like before it's dried, because otherwise you'll just make it a lot worse and it'll get into a weird state where it's kind of like half dry and half not, and then it'll like kind of almost scar the plastic and it'll be very hard to get it off. I'm now going to use the bigger pin. I know to the camera they probably look exactly the same size, but when you're painting a minifigure and you got it right in front of you, they're actually got a fairly big size difference. I think I scratched away a little bit too much there, but the good thing about scratching away a bit too much is that, well, the not bad thing is that you can just add more very easily. See a few little bits of black on the face around the eyes. I'll try and get rid of them. You can also have a small cup of water nearby that's kind of like a cup that you don't really need anymore. I've got a cup that's completely covered in paint that I'll just use for making custom minifigures. Just get a little bit wet, wipe off the wet, and it still is a little bit damp, so then it's good for getting away paint. I'm not going to add a little bit more. It probably also looks a lot more messy on camera than it actually is in real life, because my camera likes to do that. There's always one eye that's almost perfect, and then the other one. The bad thing about doing eyes is that they both have to be completely identical, or somewhat identical. And then you can do what I said before, just getting the rounded edge of the pin and just kind of pressing down a little bit, just make it a bit more smooth. Right, so the next thing I want to do for the eyes, I think that's right now for the black. I want to get white, And I'd always recommend shaking your paint as well before you open it, just gets the paint a little bit better. But you want to get, oh sorry, a little bit of dust on there, the pin, and then get a tiny bit of white. You just want to dab a tiny bit top of the eye, just like that. And it doesn't matter if this is a little bit bigger than mine, a bit smaller, just get it to how you want, because obviously it's your minifigure. Just gonna wait for that to dry a bit. So that's pretty much the eyes done. Now, the character that plays this is Clint Eastwood, and to capture his facial details, you gotta like kind of look at different characters of him, and like, so it doesn't have to be. So, for example, when I was making Robin Hood, played by Taron Egerton, played by that guy, I looked up pictures of him from other films as well, because there weren't many of him playing Robin Hood, so you just got to find pictures of that person, not necessarily that character, just to get like a good, basically, understanding of what they look like. Also, a good thing to do is find a Hot Toys version of that figure or of that character, because they normally do the face really well. And also other custom made figures that people have made is also really good to find, because it can kind of show you what they've done as other custom made figure customizers, and basically you can paint different wrinkles on, different skin marks and everything. So just going to put my chair in a bit. You can get a little bit of this, so I'm gonna get a little bit on the eye and just kind of bring it out a little bit, and it doesn't really matter how it looks, because you can always scratch away little bits of paint after you painted it. By the way, I can see how long this video is so far, 20 minutes. Don't feel like you have to watch all of the little bits like this. You can just skip to where you want in the video. I will not mind. So now I'm going on to the eyebrows, I think, and I'm going to be doing them with brown that I mixed. So let's get a bit of brown on the pin. And eyebrows are just as bad as eyes. You have to get them completely symmetrical, which is never a fun thing to do with a Lego minifigure. Or it might be a few, I don't know. Alright, it's got fairly big eyebrows to catch on painting. So I'll try and represent that on the minifigure because you always want to capture likenesses. Also, if you ever make any, like, feel free to make like bigger parts than you want to actually make, because then you can just scratch away bits to make it exactly how you want. Then that's the eyebrows done. I think I'm pretty happy with those. Then I'm going to go on to some of his, just like some, I wouldn't say wrinkles, I just kind of say facial parts. I think like what a lot of minifigures have, just like a little on the side there, each eye. Right, so now I'm going to do just a few more. Just kind of like here. I will make these smaller, by the way, just by scratching them away. Yeah, that's definitely too big there, but I will scratch part of it away. Actually, I might just get rid of these completely, because his moustache is going to be there and it probably won't collide that well. To get rid of stuff, you literally just scratch them away, just like that, and then you can wet your pen a little bit with your water, and then pick up little bits of the debris, kind of, I don't know if you just call it debris or the stuff that comes off. So dab your finger on it a little bit if you're definitely sure the paint is dry. Right, so now I will come back to a few more, hang on, I will come back to a few more of his features, but I will be now doing the mouth. The mouth is always harder to do on a minifigure than you might expect. It isn't just a simple line, but it is still easier than the eyes. So for this minifigure, I'm going to make sure I leave enough space for some facial hair. If you ever want to completely get rid of the mouth like I'm about to do here, just same as before, just scratch it away. But also be gentle with the minifigure so you don't leave any marks that will make a difference to your finished result. Man, this video is now half an hour long. That's going to be one of my longest videos. Well, his mouth's a bit more better. If you see like a small dip in this, like in the middle, it makes it look a lot more like a mouth, I find. But if you don't like that look, then you don't have to do it. It's completely up to you. Right now, I think my mouth's alright, but I will get rid of it because it's too high. Right, so that's now dry. And then you just want to kind of make it as thin, but not too thin, as you think is good. By the way, that noise was my chair, in case you're wondering. Now I know that it might look a little bit like a moustache at the moment, but then when you put in, or if your minifigure has got a moustache, then when I put in the moustache on this, it will probably look a lot more like a mouth. And I will do that now. I'm going to use the same colour that I used for the eyebrows, which for these paints is literally just a mixture between red and blue. I know I should make purple, but for some reason it makes brown, and I don't really care how it makes it. I just care that it's made it. And also it saves my yellow. So for facial hair, you kind of want to leave enough space above the mouth, but also you're going to want to make it kind of, like, it doesn't matter if it's a little bit messy at some points, because obviously it's hair, and hair is messy, and it definitely would have been back in cowboy times, which is when this minifigure is set. So now I'm just going to quickly do what I said before and just add in a few lines just to kind of show wrinkles, I guess, but like not old wrinkles. Just really simple like that, and then just scratch away to make it thinner. So I believe that's going to do it for this video. If you did get this far, thank you very much, because it is 40 minutes and 35 seconds through. But I very much appreciate it if you have got this far. And if you have got this far and you've enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. It will really help out the channel and help me to produce more content like this. Part 3 will be coming sometime soon. Don't know what it's going to be on yet. I don't know if it's going to be on fabric or the torso or something else. Molding. It can be. Yeah, I really don't know yet. But I very much appreciate you viewing this video. Thank you so much for watching. Social media link will be in the description, as it is always, and I will see you in the next video. See you next time.